SEMO head coach Tom Matukewicz, Redhawks 28-12 winners over TSU. Back home this week. Eastern Illinois is the opponent. So, Coach, thoughts about your team, and then we'll go to some questions.
Yeah, just feel like there's a lot more hope because we played better, not necessarily just because we won. It was just, hard to watch at times. We felt like we had better talent, better coaches than the results we were producing. And so it's nice to play a little better. And so now we can keep trying to improve that. At the end of the day, we're still hemorrhaging the football and we're still getting a lot of stupid penalties and stuff. So, unfortunately, I think both of those stats are coach driven, and I'm just not getting it done right now. So, we're continuing to work on, but you are encouraged because if we can maybe fix some of that, then maybe we could be a team that's hard to beat.
How much did having the bye week before the game help you all? Not only the health, but just preparing and resetting for the second half.
No, I think it did. I just don't think we handled the losing well. There's just kind of this cloud hanging over us, and guys weren't responding well, and they're just kind of, I don't know if we were having a pity party or what it was, but it was concerning because we really weren't getting better. And it's like, hey, we're better than this. What is causing our lack of progress? And I just think that bye week helped us to take a breath, challenge each other and see if we could step up. We had some pretty good practices there. I think we just kind of blew out the pipes a little bit, and now we're trying to just get better and all that.
Tell us about Johnny's performance. We talked a lot about third string quarterback and next man up, and he was our co-freshman of the week, 283 passing yards.
Yeah, so happy for him. I think it's how life works. Everybody all of a sudden thinks he's an overnight sensation, but in reality, he's spent his whole life preparing for these opportunities. He was a talented kid all along. We felt great about him from on the field and also off the field. And he's kind of got the locker room too. So I think all those guys rallied around him a little bit. He talked to the team before he took the field. And so it was just a cool moment for our team and him that they were able to throw the ball around a little bit and get recognized.
What does he do well that, and maybe he can still grow too, but what is he doing really well right now?
I think he's letting the game come to him. He's not pressing, but he's also probably responding well. The third play of the game he's in, he fumbles. And the next drive he leads them and throws a touchdown pass. So I just think that's him. He's way more mature than I am. Like he's kind of the same all the time, and I think that allows him to just process the highs and the lows of a game well.
And then your running game, Cole had 93 yards, Brandon 69. So I'm sure it took some pressure off of Johnny
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. I ended up running for 170, and I've always all along felt like our running back room is one of the best rooms on our team. But we couldn't get them going a little bit, and we were behind in some of those games early on in the season. But we need them to have another strong performance this week.
And you had some turnovers, and TSU took the ball away, but you were able, to kind of not let those beat you. Obviously, can you talk about like when a mistake happens, overcoming that?
Yeah, we call it sudden change and about responding. Ultimately, it's not necessarily the turnovers; it's called points off of turnovers. That's really if you're able to go three and out them, then it doesn't impact the win. And so they had 6 points off of takeaways, and we had seven, even though we turned it over more than they did. So we have to get it figured out. In a tighter game, obviously we're going to lose if we can't get that figured out.
And then to limit TSU to 12 points, tell us just a little bit about the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, they had 9 series in the second half. I mean, we were doing everything we can not to help them. They had a fake punt, which extended the drive, turnovers, lots of three and outs, and so. But defensively, that's been one of the key issues of underperformance. So I think we since UT Martin we've started to get better on the defensive side. We were giving up just a lot of explosive plays early in the season. We cut that in half against UT Martin, and then we only gave up one explosive against Tennessee State. And so I just think we're kind of finding our personnel out a little better. So we're scheming to their strengths and trying to put them in the best positions possible to be successful. And I think, if our defense can continue to play like that and cut off some of the mental mistakes, I think we can get something done this year.
I was curious about Stephen Lewis, all conference performer, and he had a really good day. I'm not for sure if that's his best game or if it's maybe just his best stats game, but his performance.
Yeah, no, I think it was his best stat game he's ever had. He's been through a lot. He had a surgery in the offseason. They said, "Hey, I don't know if you want to play again." Last year, he didn't feel like it was his best year of ball, and he wants to leave football playing his best, and so he wanted to come back another year. And it's been exciting to see him play and make those plays, and we need him to. We're real disruptive. I think we had 4 sacks, and we haven't been great back there. We've had a lot of mobile quarterbacks, but it was nice to see statistically that the TFLs and the sacks and those type of plays really improved.
Let's talk a little bit more about your opponent and just what you've seen from EIU. And they just lost their first conference game last weekend and have a pair of quarterbacks they've been playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach does a great job. It's a proud program. They're 2-1 in a conference. They're always just really well coached and ready for this game. It's always been seems like a fourth quarter game. So that's the plan is to be ready for a game like that. They've been able to run the ball well, and so we got to be able to stop the run. Offensively, it's the same thing. We got to create balance in the run and the pass and be able to make explosive um, plays, but that's hard to do because they don't beat themselves. They very rarely will make a mistake or something like that, and so it's going to be a challenging week. There's also calling for some pretty bad weather on Saturday, and that obviously could have an impact on the game also.
Well, I just asked Charleston Southern's coach about that. Let me ask you then, how do you prepare for something you have no control over and not let it impact you mentally if you're a player?
Well, I mean, they're fine right now. We got to get the Ouija board out come Saturday and try to get their nerves down or whatever about it. But it just is what it is. But all along, we always talk about focusing on the things we can control. But we want to be prepared for that. So even the last 2 practices, we're a morning team. So we've already practiced Tuesday and Wednesday. And we had the sprayers out spraying balls and spraying quarterbacks before they get the snap, just trying to prepare them. But they got to play in it too. So, who responds better generally has the best chance.
Well, perfect, coach. Appreciate your time and making an adjustment until today. Best of luck this weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week on Tuesday.
Thanks, Kyle.